Welcome back to Elevation Perspective. My name is Mark, joined today with Frank Tropiano and Anthony the Heel Romano. Boys, WrestleMania season's upon us this weekend. We, of course, have the two-night event, Saturday and Sunday. I feel like Heel and I have been a little bit maybe pessimistic about this build leading up. Frank, you're kind of the glimmering light of the three of us. We'll start with you, Frank. Do you still have extreme optimism about the event?
Yeah, actually, the closer and closer we get, the more excited I get. It's WrestleMania. I think they know how big of a deal it is. Um, Builds have been maybe subpar, lackluster, whatever term you guys want to use. But I still think when we get there, it's like you always say, Mark, the matches are going to be great. And I think that there's like a huge portion of what lies in store for WWE is resting on this pay-per-view, which is what you want to have at stake for WrestleMania. And of course, we'll get more into that as we go through each match. But that's kind of what I want from WrestleMania. I know there's going to be great matches, and I know that it's going to have big implications on what's going to happen in the future.
Heel, how are we feeling?
In general, I'm excited for the show. I think that the card that we have right now is pretty good. Like I'm excited about most of the matches on it. I think I was just a little underwhelmed by most of the build for almost every single match on this card. I mean, some of the matches have come together in like the last couple of weeks, even. So I'm remaining optimistic. I think it's going to be a fun WrestleMania. We've got a lot of matches to talk about. I think a lot of the finishes are up in the air, which is good. It's just a matter of did they get to the point where we can believe the stories that are being told? I guess we'll find out.
Jumping right into the card now, night one first. Starting off in some kind of controversial fashion with Jey Uso versus Gunther. I think we anticipate, I don't know if it's confirmed, but we think it's going to lead off the show. It's going to kick things off here. Of course, we weren't sure this was going to be the main event for the longest time. It's now confirmed that it will not be the main event. I think they did a really good job the last few weeks to heat up the feud that otherwise was pretty slow and not really that exciting. Frank, I'll go to you first again here. How do you feel right now about Jey versus Gunther?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it on our last episode. I was never that sour on this feud. And the reason why I was never that sour on the feud is because I always thought that the point of this feud was for that image of Jay holding the title and everybody in the arena eating and having a good time. Well, the last few weeks I've been taking on a turn. They wanted to make it more personal, and I think they actually did a really great job giving Jay some depth, definitely giving Gunther some depth after that promo on Raw the other night.
Yeah, I definitely 100%. I mean, the last few weeks, this has become what actually I've enjoyed it by far the most in the last few weeks than the whole time. And granted, they've had 2.5 months to build this match up. I did not like the whole Tozawa Austin Theory era of this feud. That didn't make any sense to me. Why we were going with A Town Down Under for 3 weeks, but they got there eventually. The inclusion of Jimmy was great. I think that they got to where they needed to be going into WrestleMania. They got to where, okay, I can actually believe that maybe Jay could pull this off, because initially they were just basically telling you should believe it because we're telling you what's going to happen. There was no proof or evidence that Jey Uso could have beaten Gunther back when he won the Royal Rumble. Now they've told a little bit more of the story. It's way more personal now than it ever was. You can feel the I don't know the word I'm looking for, the inspiration, I guess, inside of Jey Uso. And so I'm excited to see what happens. I do agree with Frank. I think Jay is going to win this match.
Yeah, as you kind of alluded to there were kind of two parts of this build. It was very long, like you said. 2.5 months is a lot of
Yeah.
time to fill in there. It started off pretty silly with Tozawa and Otis, and then once they introduced Jimmy into it, they had Gunther take him out. It got more serious. There was still kind of the controversy with the fans chanting "Yeet" when Jay was trying to be serious, which was kind of a fumble in that regard. But I feel like they bounced back pretty well. You guys are both taking Jey Uso to win this match.
I think it's up in the air. I don't think it's going to be the squash that everyone thought it's going to be. Like if it's Gunther, it's going to be a good close match, and he's probably going to win by hook or crook, like type of way. Like there's probably going to be some type of cheating going on or something like that. But I do think that Jay does win the championship. I think we have to try it.
To be honest with you, I'd be more likely to pick Gunther if this was one of the main events. But
Really?
honestly, Yeah, because I think that that's a way to end the show where nobody would have expected it, and you have now major heat on Gunther to end WrestleMania. Also, I think the fact that because of my thought process on other matches on this WrestleMania, I do think Jey Uso is going to win. I think they're gonna give the fans this moment. I kind of agree with Frank that they had this thought process. I don't think that's the only reason that they're going with it. You actually do have to believe that Jey can be a world champ in order to do this. I'm sure they do think that, even if it's for a little bit. I agree with everything you said, Mark. You know, there were aspects to this feud that just didn't really gel with me the whole time, but I think they got there in the end, and I think Jay's going to win the belt.
That's a clean sweep. It's never fun to have a all three of us go with the same one, but we'll all take Jey Uso to win the title at WrestleMania. Our next match here, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship. This feud kind of leaked into real life, kind of some shoot action there, which I feel like got a little bit awkward, but it also helped this feud get some steam and make me care a little more.
100%. I mean, honestly, the little spat they had a couple weeks ago on SmackDown was the best part of this entire feud, and it made everybody actually care about seeing what happens next. So, credit to them, whether that was intended or not, whether it got a little too personal or not. I guess probably a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, I'm officially excited to see what happens. I think that Tiffany Stratton probably should and will win this match. I think that she deserves to have this WrestleMania moment over Charlotte. And I think if Charlotte wins this match, I don't know if she's ready to accept the level of heel she will have to be in order to match the crowd reaction she's going to get on a weekly basis. I mean, she's going to get booed out of every building that she enters with that belt. And as we saw, she doesn't exactly handle that the best.
No, she was
So
rattled. She was really
yeah, so
rattled.
unless she's ready to do that, I don't know. I mean, they could do it. She's Charlotte. She's one of the best ever, if not the best ever. But I think this is probably Tiffany's moment.
At first, I thought when she won the Rumble, I was like, that's it. She is winning the championship. It's Charlotte. It's WrestleMania. She's winning the championship. As this has kind of gone on, feels like maybe. And look, we don't really know. The reports are that Charlotte was the one who acted unprofessional and that Tiffany matched her, and that's not exactly professional either. So two rights don't make a wrong there, right? But I think it's moved from heel heat, like the heel heat we saw on Gunther, which was excellent, the heel heat that Dominic Mysterio always gets, the heel heat that Logan Paul gets, although that's also a real heat too. I think it's like real heat on her. Like I think people are really don't want her to see her win the championship, and not in a kayfabe way. I don't know if you guys are getting the same vibe that I am.
It changed from like pro wrestling heat to go away heat.
Yeah, and I they don't need that on Charlotte, so I think Tiffany needs to win this belt as a protection for Charlotte. Honestly,
I think it'd be such a terrible look for Tiffy and for WWE if they gave Charlotte this win. And I'm really torn. I really think it'd go either way, truthfully, because like heel, you were saying, they could take this run with it and make her the biggest heel in the company right now because of the real crowd reaction she's getting. But I have to believe they see Tiffany Stratton being a star, needing this win to kind of solidify her stature, where she is right now in the WWE. So I will take Tiffany as well. Another clean sweep, but that one I really feel like could go either way, where I feel like Jay is definitely going to beat Gunther.
I don't know what they expected with Charlotte when she came back. It feels like the messaging was a little off with how they presented her in the first couple of weeks of her return and where she is now, and maybe the audience reaction isn't exactly what they expected. I don't know what they expected, but this is what they got, and I think they kind of have to roll with what the audience is giving them right now, which is just keep Tiffany here and see what you can do. Maybe this isn't over between them after this.
Our next match here, I'm not sure why this is on the card, to be honest with you. It's the War Raiders versus the New Day. For me, there's just no reason for this match, and let me tell you why. Of course, the New Day had that incredible heel turn with one of the best segments we've seen in a very long time with Big E. They turned on him. They didn't do anything with that momentum. I'm not blaming them, Kofi and Xavier, by any means, but WWE did nothing with that momentum of that crazy shock moment. They had some like backstage skits that were like cute and whatever, but it did nothing for them. Now they're in this tag team match at WrestleMania for the titles against the War Raiders. Like the match will be incredible. I don't care about that, but why is this happening?
yeah, I mean they should be. If I'm a tag team on SmackDown right now, I'm annoyed because the tag team championships on SmackDown are represented very well. There's like four teams. There could be a few more joining the fray over there that they haven't even put in that feud. and they've done a really good job. All of those teams, the Motor City Machine Guns,
DIY,
DIY, the Street Profits,
Pretty
and Pretty
deadly.
pretty
Deadly.
deadly. Yeah.
All four of those teams, and Melodont Miz, ridiculous name by the way. It seems to be like they're creeping into the
Legado del
picture.
Fantasma.
Exactly.
No, the
And we
tag
don't have
team,
anything like that on Raw.
the tag team division is one thing that SmackDown does very well.
I would say as far as why this is going to be a WrestleMania, the only thing I could really think of is if Big E gets involved. I don't know if that means a return to the ring, but I think if he finds a way to either screw them or they have another moment where they put him down or double turn on him again, like other than that, I this is a Raw rematch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, like the only other thing I could say is we look at all those tag teams that we just named on SmackDown, and then we look at this match, and this match has the New Day in it. And sure, it's a Big E list New Day, but it's still the New Day. They still are the brand name in the tag team division, and hopefully, when they win this match, they can kind of return that division on Raw to that type of level.
My biggest problem with this is more of a commentary on the entire tag division on Raw. These titles should belong to the Creed brothers. The Creed brothers have been the best tag team on Raw for a long time now. They obviously gave them a whole new gimmick with Chad Gable. They should have got the belts by now. I digress, but the fact that we're going to just give it to the New Day now, whatever. I'm picking the New Day. I think they're going to win.
Frank, you're going New Day?
Yes, sir.
I'll take the War Raiders. I'll be the first one different. And kind of what you were saying earlier, Heel, I think why else would this be on the Mania card? I think Big E goes out there, he costs them the match, which that'll be a nice pop for Big E. But back to the problem here, like, I don't care if the War Raiders going to retain here. I think that's what's going to happen. It feels like it makes the most sense to me. For them to flip it back onto the New Day here, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'll take the War Raiders, but I see why they would go with the New Day. Next up here, we have Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. I really hope this gimmick continues past this match. I'm not sure if this is like a Rey wins, takes the mask off, and it's all over, but I hope this continues.
Yeah, I mean, this has been great. Chad Gable's been great. The LWO has played their role perfectly. I'm sorry. El Grande Americano has been great.
Chad Gable is getting screwed from this card
Chad
because
Gable's
of El
not
Grande
on the Mania
Americano.
card. Chad Gable's not on the Mania card. You're 100% right. Yeah, I mean, this has been great. The one problem I have with it is El Grande Americano should absolutely win this match. But I mean, Ray hasn't even put over his own son in the last two WrestleManias, so deadbeat dad's not gonna let that happen.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no idea what they're gonna do. I mean, the obvious thing would be exactly what Mark said is to have the mask get pulled off. I saw someone say this. I was kind of thinking this too. We don't really have like a confirmed celebrity involvement in this WrestleMania yet. I could definitely see this being a match where somebody gets involved. I don't know if that's Bad Bunny. I don't know if that's somebody else, but I mean, El Grande Americano's character is so um it's politically charged, but like there's so many avenues you could go with it. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I think it's great. I think the payoff for his whole, path to finding how to defeat luchadors. I thought it's been very creative, and I mean it's going to be a great in-ring match. So I'm excited for it. I'll pick El Grande Americano.
Wow. So my whole thing with this match too, where I felt like this was a layup to be a mask versus mask match. But now the fact that it's not that, I'm like, maybe they will give this to El Grande Americano because otherwise, like, why wouldn't they just have Ray win the match and take the mask off? So it's tough. You're going with Ray right now, Frank?
I will take Ray, yes. So
Heel's
we got
going,
1-1 here.
Heel's going El Grande Americano. I'll double down. I'll take El Grande Americano as well. So two picks there for El Grande Americano, and Frank will take Rey Mysterio. Our next match on the card, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Tell me if I'm wrong or foul on this take. 5-minute squash, Jade wins.
I mean, I want you to be wrong, but I can't sit here and tell you. I want Naomi to win this match. I think it would be. You want to talk about swerves? I think that would be the number one swerve. I mean, I can't actually say that, but I think that would be a great swerve for this card. But no, I think you're right. I think it's a 5-minute squash, and I think Jade wins convincingly.
Does Bianca make an appearance at any point in this match?
She's been so far away from it now for a few weeks that it would make a great swerve, but that also leads me to believe probably not.
I mean, if she does, she would have to turn heel, right? She would have to side with Naomi and go full heel into her title match the next night.
which would open up interference for them to come into the triple threat match, which kind of gets messy, but I can see that being the path.
Yeah, I
She,
mean,
as Frank said, she hasn't really been involved with this at all, right? I don't think I don't think I saw their last, whatever the last segment was, but I haven't seen her anywhere near this
she
feud.
did make a comment about how she was going to win the triple threat match because she won the elimination chamber match as she
Yeah.
saw her two best friends like
No,
tear
for
each other
sure.
apart. But other than that, you're right. She hasn't been anywhere, and I
After,
don't even count that. You know,
after the promo with Naomi, where she admitted that it was her, that she hasn't really been anywhere near. And so I don't know. It still feels like she's a part of this story, right? Like she had to have, even if she didn't know, she had to have had an inkling, right? Like there's no way she could have just been oblivious throughout whatever this whole saga has been. And so the question of what were her true intentions, what did she actually know? I feel like we have to know at some point, right? So
I felt that way dating back to the chamber, where I said Bianca can't win this match. She is so tied up with what's going on with Jade and Naomi. But then they, of course, had that whole thing happen, and we kind of just forgot. So maybe they're just totally moving her away from it. But like you said, it feels like we need some kind of payoff there.
I think exactly like you said, if they do this, it could then also impact the match on Sunday. And it could also, I don't know. I guess we'll get to it when we talk about the triple threat match. But I just think there's a lot that could happen in this match. It could also just be a Jade squash. I'm not totally sure. I don't really have a great lean one way or the other.
it is strange and that she sold that the two of them fighting in the chamber like I have never seen it. Like she was crying, she was slamming the glass, and then for 2 weeks later, for her to be completely done with it, it is kind of weird. I do agree with that for sure.
Naomi's done good heel work so far. She's cut good promos, but I feel like when push comes to shove, there's no way she wins this match over Jade Cargill. And we know Jade's not the best in the ring, so for those reasons, I feel like it's gonna be super quick. I'll take Jade.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll agree. I think Jade probably is the winner here unless Bianca interferes.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of hoping the heel's right over here, but I am gonna take Jade for now.
Our last match here of night one before the main event, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the US title. I always hate, and I've talked about this before, the idea of giving the unstoppable big powerhouse the mid-card belt. I feel like it really causes problems for long-term booking, but it's tough to see Jacob not winning this match, right?
You know what? I kind of like LA Knight here. What a great time to retain, and I think Solo can get involved furthering that feud. You know, making that feud more prevalent because they have to come to grips soon, right? Like they have to fight it out soon. So I actually think I like LA Knight in this one.
You know, that's a good point, Frank, because if you notice every week when Solo goes out there, even without Jacob, he is now basically like the mouthpiece for Jacob Fatu and telling everyone how he's going to be the next United States champion. Well, all of a sudden, well, isn't wasn't he the tribal chief like 2 months ago? Like, wasn't he the one who was leading this new bloodline? Like, why all of a sudden is he now championing Jacob Fatu to win a belt that he himself should probably be the one going after? So I could definitely see there being some sort of turn in this match where Solo maybe costs Jacob. I think if LA Knight wins, it's not going to be clean, but I do think something could happen here where he doesn't win the belt. I also think I agree with you, Mark. I think putting that belt on him also just kind of limits what he's going to be going after for the rest of this year. Like he has feuds that he could have within the bloodline. He has also potential world championship aspirations. I mean, there's money in the bank coming up down the road. Not that the US title means he can't do any of that stuff, but I just feel like exactly like you said, having him in the mid card where he's going to be fighting, you know, not even that I don't even know really what the mid card of SmackDown is right now, but it's basically just LA Knight and Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think I might be leaning towards LA Knight myself.
We know that Jacob Fatu has to face Solo at some point. Eventually, there's going to be some kind of turn there. I guess the alternative to Solo kind of costing him this match is if Jacob does win this match, they then feud for the US title, which could be used to elevate the title, but things get a little bit messy there. I'll still take Jacob. I definitely see the path you guys are talking about where a potential solo interference or betrayal for sure, but I'll take Jacob. You're both going LA?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
heel is taking LA Knight. On to our night one main event, the triple threat match of favors. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, with Paul Heyman in CM Punk's corner. It's very interesting how we got here. I do want to start this off with Frank because we've talked about this a lot where Frank, you were very against the concept of this match. You thought it made no sense. Have you felt the build makes you feel more like this is better now, it makes more sense, or kind of backing up your original thoughts of this is not ideal?
I'm so in between because I think they've done a wonderful job with it. It still feels like a throwaway for me to the point where they have to throw Rollins out there and they have to go and say, all right, Seth, go out there and tell everyone that this is for the future of the industry we're it's not make we can't make it over Paul Heyman because you have nothing to do with Paul Heyman. I don't know. It was a little messy, but look, at the end of the day, three superstars did what three superstars do, and I'm excited for the match. So I don't know if that answers your question completely. It definitely deserves a spot on the card, the main event spot on the card. They're great, and I'm excited for it. So
I mean, him calling it for the future of the industry is pretty consistent with his character, though. I mean, he's
that
gone
is
after
true.
Roman for not being around. He's gone after Punk for leaving for 10 years. I mean, that's to him, these two guys are the epitome of what it means to be part-time. Yeah, even though Punk has obviously been around full time since he's come back, but he deserted WWE. Roman Reigns is never there. To Seth, he's the workhorse. He's the guy who is there to uphold the standard of what it means to be a true WWE champion. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
It just feels like all over the place. There's so many dots being connected. It's like, oh, like the other, like last week, right? It was like, all right, you got to go and not stomp Paul Heyman and tell him now that he owes you a favor because we need a connection between you and Heyman in that match. I don't know.
Someone
It's
should tell
not
Seth that that's not how favors work. But
they're not grasping at straws. Like there's definitely something there. I don't know. I was so excited for a Seth Rollins Roman Reigns match, and then they added Punk to it. It's gonna be great. Like I'm not complaining. It did feel a little messy for me from the start, but it's gonna be great.
Initially, before any of like the Seth has a favor now stuff, I thought it was a really cool kind of swerve idea of Paul Heyman kind of turning on his two guys and going with Seth. Now it feels way too obvious with this favor looming. Like, I feel like that would be the most predictable thing of all time now if Paul does cost him the match and give the win to Seth. My only problem with this match is I need whoever wins this to have like massive ramifications. They have to be like right thrusted into a title match right after, maybe the Raw after, honestly. Because I feel like when you have the star power of these three guys and they're essentially fighting for Paul Heyman, and I know there are other aspects, like the star power is crazy. Whoever wins this is the top guy, in my opinion, but I wish a title was on the line here.
all right, do you want my thoughts?
I would love it.
I think Roman Reigns is winning this match.
I was actually in my mind starting to turn to Roman Reigns, but I want to hear what you have to say.
So in my head, and I only in the last hour have I really started to formulate this thought. In my head, I think Paul Heyman turns on CM Punk in this match. I don't know exactly what happens with Seth here, but I can see a scenario where Paul Heyman goes back to his roots. Roman Reigns turns heel. Roman Reigns becomes, the tribal chief version of Roman Reigns again. He leaves this match as a heel, defeating the other two with his wise man Paul Heyman back at his side. And I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to get involved in Sunday night's match. I don't know if he's necessarily teaming up with the final boss, but I think a heel Roman Reigns, maybe he steps away for a while. This, going against what Mark just said, I think he probably, we don't see him maybe for a little bit, but this now sets up a heel Roman Reigns versus maybe a baby face Jacob Fatu, which I feel like at this point you probably need because I think Jacob Fatu is getting cheered no matter who he faces. You set up a potential Roman Reigns versus whoever has the title down the road. There's so many things that could happen here. I feel like we're leaving this WrestleMania with a heel Roman Reigns once again, and that's the major cataclysmic event that sends the audience into a shock.
And so just to roll off of what Heel's saying is because I had a similar thought, not to the effect that he did, but I was just sitting here saying, is Roman Reigns as this tweener babyface really working? And the answer is absolutely not. None of his promos are babyface promo. Like nothing he does represents a babyface.
He just
And
pushed Paul Heyman to the ground
yeah, it's
yesterday.
just, but like people still want to cheer him because he's a tribal chief. So they need to make a decision on Roman Reigns. Where is his character going? If he's going to be a babyface, then maybe he needs to start becoming like still a badass, but like a little bit more humble version of himself.
I mean, he's got to come to work. He's not there.
That yeah, and that's a very heel thing, right? So
Bingo, bingo.
I agree. If the idea is we need someone to become a massive heel because we need a massive heel right now, it's gonna be Roman Reigns. The only way Seth Rollins wins now is a clean 1, 2, 3 in the ring. And I just don't see it against these two guys. I would love to take Seth Rollins. Truthfully, I think he deserves this match more than any of the others. But I think Heel's right. I think it's going to be Roman Reigns. I don't think this is how we want CM Punk winning his main event.
Really, you're both going Roman Reigns. So I'm just the polar opposite. I listen, I think Roman is taking the fall. I think 100% Roman is going to be pinned 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Punk. I've been going back and forth. Like I said, Seth feels too obvious now. I feel like the way they're building this story, and of course, he has the curse of he finished the Raw on top, which you never want to finish Raw on top and the go home. It never ends up well. But anyways, I'm going to take CM Punk. They're hyping this up. This is his main event. I know it's a little bit messy how he got here. He didn't really earn the main event for this first main event in WrestleMania, but he's getting up there in age. This is the story for me. I think CM Punk pins Roman Reigns, and that's how we end night one.
But is to me that doesn't give us the exactly what you said before. This something huge has to happen. You think just Roman Reigns getting pinned is the huge.
Well, it all depends on exactly what happens with Paul. I'm still not, I don't know. I have no idea what they do with Paul. I feel like they'll take
Well, if you're picking Punk, then Paul just stays with his guy. The favor was cashed in, and he's true to the favor. To me, I think the favor is BS. I think Paul turns on the favor because otherwise, it's just so predictable. I mean, it's exactly what you would expect going in if you weren't predicting any swerves. It's just CM Punk cashed in the favor. Paul Heyman helps him win. That's the
Well,
story. Everyone
I
have a
feel
great
like
night.
the way we got here, though, all we're doing is thinking about the swerves, where maybe it's just what it is, and maybe that big moment is an emotional exchange between Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, like in the corner. Roman gets physical again. I don't know if Paul would low blow him. That might be a little bit too much. But maybe he just like breaks up the exchange and then right into a go to sleep or something. I don't know exactly how it would go down and if that would be kind of fulfilling enough, but I feel like Punk wins this match.
Listen, the one thing I'll say, and I've been very vocal about this, is after WrestleMania, CM Punk needs to set his sights on John Cena. And if John Cena, and I don't want to bury the lead here for that match, right? But if John Cena wins the championship, then Punk also has to go over here. But if John Cena doesn't win a championship, then I guess Punk can lose here too. So I don't know. I don't know. But it feels like Punk can't lose this match and then go after heel mega heel Cena champion, super champion. I just said a bunch of words, but
I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of ways you can go with it. I don't think CM Punk has to go right after John Cena. We also don't know when John Cena is going to, if he wins, when he's even going to defend it again. There's so many hypotheticals and questions you can answer. Just in my gut right now, I have to go with Roman Reigns. I think the shock they're going to leave us with is, oh my gosh, are we going right back to the reign of terror? And I think that we're gonna be left with the question of how soon before he has a belt back, and we're doing this all over again.
It's so funny because I'm like 60% Punk, 40% Seth, and both ways, no matter what, I have Roman taking the fall in this match.
listen, it's great because I am honestly like I'm leaning Roman. I'm probably like 40% Roman, 30% on the other two. I could see it anyway. Like I could really see it either way. It just feels like Seth is too obvious right now.
The flaw with us picking Roman is I still don't really I don't have a vision of how Seth is factoring into this, and where the fact that it's the three of them makes it messy. It makes it complicated. That It really could go any way. I know, Mark, you're ruling out Roman, but I really truly think any of these three guys could win it at this point. And that's a credit to them and credit to the writers, because I think a while ago we would not have thought Seth even had a chance. And now it's kind of moved almost towards the opposite, where a lot of people think he should be the favorite.
No, that's true. Just to wrap up night one here, really quickly, Frank, you go first. Match of the night.
Match of the night is going to be El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. They're going to put on one for the ages. It's going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Heel.
I think the main event's the match of the night. I want to say LA Knight Jacob Fatu, but I feel like that could just be shorter than maybe we expect. And if there's any outside interference, yeah, I'm gonna go with the main event. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Can't believe Frank didn't go with Jay and Gunther, but I'll double down with you. I'll go the main event as well. Just so
I'm surprised no one took Tiffany and Charlotte because I think they have every chance in the world to put on an
They,
absolute
they
banger.
they'll probably have a great match.
it should be very good as well. To recap here, we all have Jey Uso winning. That's a clean sweep. We all have Tiffy winning. That's a clean sweep. You two have the New Day. I have the War Raiders. Frank has Rey Mysterio. Heel and I have El Grande Americano. Clean sweep for Jade Cargill. I have Jacob Fatu. You both have LA Knight. For the main event, I cannot believe no one took Seth Rollins, but I am taking CM Punk, the heel, and Frank are taking Roman Reigns. And that is a wrap on night one. Now for night two of WrestleMania, our first match here, Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship. Another match where I feel like the build was kind of messy how we got here. The match itself is going to be phenomenal, but how do we feel about the match right now? Heel, you go first.
My thoughts pretty much this entire time have been there was no reason to include Io Sky in this match if she's not going to win the match at WrestleMania. And that remains my feeling, to be honest with you. There was absolutely no reason to hand her the belt. That's the thing. They didn't just put her in the match. They gave her Rhea's belt to include her in this match. She is entering WrestleMania as the incumbent champion. Clearly, the story they are telling is that both Bianca and Rhea are ignoring or overlooking Io to focus on one another. And I guess the easy way out would be that same thing carries into the match at WrestleMania. Something happens where they are focused on each other. Io takes advantage and she leaves as champion. I don't think it's necessarily going to be that simple. I don't think it can be that simple. That'll be extremely lazy if that's just the way that they go with this. But I also just I feel like Io is winning this match. Like I feel like she was included in this match so that they didn't have to pick a winner between Rhea and Bianca and set up their eventual one-on-one WrestleMania moment down the road. Why they didn't want it to be this year, I'm not sure. Maybe they do feel like that should main event and they weren't ready to give that a main event this year. I don't know. But I think they want that to come later. And to give one of them a win here in a triple threat feels a little cheap to me. I don't know. My opinion is that Io is winning this match.
Io could also be in this match, so Rhea or Bianca don't have to take a pin.
Sure. Sure. I just think that one of them winning also makes it messy. Like whenever they do eventually go one on one with each other, one of them can claim, "Well, I beat you at last year's WrestleMania," even if
But
the other
you
one didn't
pinned
get
Io, you
pinned.
didn't pin me.
Sure. I don't really see what that does. I feel like I don't know. Frank, you can go.
I'm going to say something right now, and I'm going to have to duck my head after I say it. Rhea Ripley has no character depth whatsoever. She is just a flat line since for like 3 years now. She's added nothing. And like it was cool when she had to like when she was going to attack Dom and stuff like that, and she was trying to get her revenge on Liv, like being this angry, like out for blood type of person. She has not evolved since then. It's been like 2 years, 3 years of this. She hasn't really evolved. And so now everyone's behind her because she's this angry. It doesn't work with her losing. Bianca Belair is the best wrestler best women's wrestler in the WWE, in my opinion. It doesn't work with her losing. And Heel is absolutely right about everything he said about Io Sky. It doesn't work with her losing. It just feels like the way the three of them are set up, it's really hard to pick a winner right now because they all kind of need the win. Again, Bianca and Rhea for character reasons and Io for story reasons, right? I'm going to take Bianca because, like I said, she's the best wrestler in this group. If things go awry in the Jade match, like you guys had mentioned earlier, that could definitely change. But as of right now, if all things are even, no involvement, I'm going to take Bianca Belair.
I'm going to take Bianca as well. I feel like just the way I'm kind of rationalizing this is I feel like Io shouldn't win and Rhea can't win. And that leaves me with Bianca there. I mean, sure, they could have Io win this match. I just feel like, I don't know. It feels off to me. It's going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be 30 minutes. The crowd's going to lose their minds. I'm expecting some kind of outside interference. I don't know if we're doing the whole nine, like Damage Control, Jade, Naomi, Liv Morgan. I don't know if we're pulling out all the stops, but there should be some kind of interference with this match, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to make Damage Control a strong unit again, and Asuka and Kari were both ready to go, could definitely be a way to go. And then, like you said, Jade, Naomi, the bag is endless here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it again goes back to what we mentioned with the Naomi Jade match. What happens there? Does Bianca appear in that? A lot of ways they could go. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Io Sky here. I think there's definitely shenanigans involved. Who or what that is, we'll see. I think it's gonna be a phenomenal match. I think Io's leaving WrestleMania, and not for nothing, but Bianca was booed on Monday Night Raw a couple weeks ago. I think Io's the crowd favorite in this match too. I'm going with Io.
They've done a good job just from the storytelling perspective of the two girls don't care about Io. They're doing Rhea versus Bianca with Io in the background as the champion holder. So on that regard, they're doing a good job. They're getting the crowd to stand behind Io for sure. So just to recap here, Frank and I will take Bianca. Heel is sticking with Io to retain. Our next match here on the card, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. Wonderful stipulation for an otherwise pretty lackluster match.
I disagree with that. I don't think this is. I think when we talked about some of our issues with build-ups to matches on this WrestleMania, I think that this match probably has one of the better build-ups, just because of the way that the two guys have, put the effort in to actually tell a story that they're trying to tell, and it's a longer term build-up than maybe we initially gave it credit for being. I know Mark just wanted more for Damian for Drew McIntyre here than a singles match with Damian Priest, but I mean it's kind of a loaded card. You could have put Drew, I guess, into the triple threat with Roman, Punk, and Seth if you wanted to do that, but I think that the two have kind of told a pretty good story here of how every time Drew has gotten screwed, Damian has been there to capitalize on whatever has happened in that moment. And I don't know. I think it's going to be a good match. It doesn't have to be too deep. I think it's kind of just the state of the roster where some of these guys are going to be in matches that don't have incredible long term ramifications.
No, you touched
My
on it. You touched on it there for sure. That was my frustration the whole time, dating back to Rumble season. Drew was so involved with Punk, with Roman, with Seth. This was all of them, and then it kind of felt like they all got prominent storylines, and Drew kind of got forgotten about. That was my only frustration with the situation. Frank, how do you feel?
My only problem with this is it feels like they've telegraphed the winner. Because if Drew McIntyre loses his match, he has zero legs to stand on. He can't lose. If all things were equal headed into this match, I would pick Damian Priest. I'd pick the baby face with nothing on the line. But Drew can't lose this match. If he loses this match, he resides himself. And it has nothing to do with Damian Priest at this point. It just has everything to do with heel, like they said, they've built this idea that Damian Priest has been there to screw him every single time. So it's like, all right, well, is he going to do it again, or is Drew finally going to get one up on over on him? And if Drew loses his match, he almost like falls a tier in my opinion. That he just can't lose his match. And like I said, it's got nothing to do with Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest is doing a great job. And it's got everything to do with Drew McIntyre.
I think personally, I'm a bigger fan of Damian Priest than both of you. I know that for a fact. I think he probably could benefit from maybe a little bit of time off, maybe a little, not a total repackaging, but we've seen Damian Priest as this kind of same, I wouldn't even know how to describe his character because it's not really that interesting. I think even I'm willing to admit that. I think if he loses this match to Drew, give him maybe a month or two off, bring him back and make us care about him. Because since he's left the Judgment Day, there's really no reason to care about him. His feud with Finn is over. Why do we care about Damian Priest in 2025? What are his motivations? Change his music. His music is horrendous.
Yeah.
These are the things that I want this match to maybe bring about for Damian Priest. Like, have a great match with Drew, have a great one-on-one singles match at WrestleMania. Like, that's a huge spot. Wherever on the card you are, that's an amazing opportunity for him. I don't necessarily know, if he's ever going to get another world championship in the WWE, but they clearly think highly of him.
No,
I hope they use this as a chance to like do something more interesting
Reset.
with him. Reset, yeah.
it's a little similar to what Frank was saying about Rhea Ripley, where I feel like they have done a better job with Priest kind of explaining his motivations and kind of what he's about, but they both broke away from the Judgment Day, or they were kicked out, whatever you want to say. And it was a big shock factor. It was cool. The next, probably, it felt like 8 weeks every night on Raw, they would come out there and beat up Liv and Dom, and it was fun, whatever. And then that kind of stopped, and they both kind of just went and did not a whole lot.
To that point, right? I agree. They haven't added anything to these characters. They're just these angry people, but they're like babyface angry people. And it's like, I know there are some people out there that are gonna look at this and they're gonna be like, Stone Cold was angry his whole career. It's like, yeah, but that's how he came. Like, that was his thing. Like, we can't have two more people now that's their thing. And like, I don't know. They're just angry. That's it. That's the only thing I get from Damian and Rhea. Do they even really want to be championship or champions, or do they just want to beat people up? Which, like, I guess beating people up is a good motive in the WWE, but it's just like it feels so shallow with two people that they can do better with. I think that's really my issue.
I mean, at least Rhea is like the best or one of the best in her division, and so she kind of has the backbone of I'm really good and I'm going to back it up every time. Like for Damian Priest, like I wouldn't even necessarily say he's angry. I think it's just he doesn't really know how to portray his character, especially in like a baby face sense. Like he kind of goes out there, he tries to crack jokes. He's got that New York accent or whatever, but like it doesn't always work. And I don't know. I think Drew wins this match. I think it'll be this match kind of reminds me of like the Drew Sheamus Gunther triple threat. They're just gonna beat the crap out of each other. It's a street fight. There's gonna be weapons and all that stuff, and it'll be an entertaining 15, 20 minutes. And I hope that both of these guys find something interesting to do going forward, especially Drew, because moving on to him, he really kind of lost a lot of the steam that he had with his whole bloodline hunter gimmick. So I don't know if that's coming back. I don't know if we're going to revisit that, but let's see what happens here.
That's a clean sweep for us. We will all take Drew McIntyre to win the Sin City Street Fight with Damian Priest. Our next match on the card here, the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental Championship match, Braun Breaker, Dominic Mysterio, Penta, and Finn Balor. This has very sneaky match of the weekend potential.
Absolutely. I think three guys are going to look great in this match, and I think Dom Mysterio is going to be the fourth, and he's going to win it. And I don't say that to say that Dom can't wrestle. I say that to say that Dom is going to hide behind Finn when he gets the chance, and Dom's going to pull all the heel tactics that he can. And the other three are going to be, the other three are like world class wrestlers. You talk about Finn and Penta, and then Braun is just something crazy. So, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Night of the match of the night potential for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of storyline implications, right? I mean, Penta, I guess, officially did get pinned for the first time, so we don't have that, to worry about anymore. And the impending doom of the Judgment Day. Like, is this the final nail in the Judgment Day coffin? Like, are we done with the Judgment Day after this match? Because I feel like you have to assume that
At
that
least
it's
this version of it, this iteration of the Judgment Day, until Dom pins Finn and starts his own Judgment Day.
well, that's what I mean. Like, it's got to boil over between Dom and Finn in this match, right? And to me, like the clear or like the easy way to think of it is, they both cost each other in some fashion, and that maybe they drag it out another month or two, or maybe Dom or Finn wins the belt here. I mean, I personally I think Braun Breaker is retaining in this match, but I really do think that this is a match. Even Finn, I'm giving a chance to win. All four of these guys could win the belt here.
Frank, you kind of started off here with saying Dom. I agree with you. I feel like The Judgment Day story doesn't really evolve. It just kind of like lingers. And this feels like we gotta have some kind of conclusion here where I don't think the Judgment Day is going to end, but Dom pins Finn. Finn gets removed from the group. Maybe Dom adds that extra mystery guy he keeps talking about. He keeps saying, I want to add someone to the group, and Finn kind of keeps shutting him down. Maybe Finn gets knocked out. Maybe they get rid of JD McDonough as well. I know he's coming back from injury. So maybe those two are removed, and then it's the girls. It's Liv and Raquel with Carlito, Dom, and a new big muscle guy, maybe. But I feel like Dom pins Finn, and we have a new version of the Judgment Day.
I'd like to see it happen during the match. I don't know if they can do that, but again, fatal four way, no rules, right? So I'd love to see it look like Finn's going to win the Intercontinental Championship, and then all of a sudden somebody comes out and attacks Finn, and everyone's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then they pick up Dom and they throw Dom's body over Finn, and something like that were to happen. Where if they're going to announce this new member and like poetry in motion, Finn's getting kicked out almost a year after Rhea and Priest got kicked out, and that he will just be angry for the next year. But we can get into that as the next year rolls along.
Heel, just for fun here, who do you have Braun Breaker pinning in this match to retain?
Um, Finn Balor.
Sure, that
I
works.
mean, that's an easy one. Yeah.
All right,
You know what it
heel.
is. You know what it is. I think that Finn and Dom is probably an easy rivalry that they can now pursue. And keeping the belt on Braun, he can still have something with Penta after this if they want to do that. Or we know that there are names possibly coming back: Aleister Black, Rusev, whoever else maybe comes back on Monday night. I feel like Braun Breaker still has unfinished business left with this title, and he's awesome. I mean, keeping this belt on him is not going to be a mistake if this is actually what happens.
Heel takes Braun Breaker to retain. Frank and I have Dominic Mysterio winning this match. Our next match here, Liv and Raquel versus Bayley and Lyra. I'm more frustrated about this match than I am about the New Day War Raiders, just because. So they just decided on Friday that Bayley and Lyra are a team. I think the only real rationale here is we need to put Bayley on the Mania card. Lyra is the first women's Intercontinental Champion. I don't think she's had a real feud. She's like messed around with like Ivy Nile. She hasn't really done anything of note. She, of course, is not defending her title on the first WrestleMania since she won it. The whole thing just sucks to me.
Mark, you're not being fair at all. Okay. This didn't come together last Friday. This came together the Friday before last Friday. Okay. When it was announced that this match was going to be. And then they had them in the tag team. They had Lyra and Bayley in the tag team. And they were like, yes, after they face each other on Raw on Monday. I don't know. It's strange. To me, this is actually the biggest no brainer on the entire card. Like, if one person is a lock to win, like one team is a lock to win, or person is a lock to win, Liv Morgan deserves her moment at WrestleMania here more than anybody else. It's a shame it has to come like this, but this is the easiest Liv Morgan Raquel I think you'll get.
That's not much of a moment.
It's not, but she deserves it. Who's been the best women's wrestler since last WrestleMania?
She has a
I think
good
it's been I think it's been Liv Morgan. I think it's either Liv Morgan or Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have a lot of thoughts on this match, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, they did the gauntlet. I think maybe a bigger tragedy is the fact that, you know, this is not to take away from Lyra. I think she does some pretty impressive stuff in the ring, but I think Chelsea Green has been the more charismatic, appealing women's mid card champion since they introduced those two belts, and she's been relegated to WrestleMania SmackDown. So this screams WrestleMania SmackDown to me. I mean, Liv is really the only one here who probably deserves a WrestleMania match after the past year that she's had. You know, Bayley won the title last year. That's not to take away from her by any means, but yeah, the fact that they wrestled each other for the title last Monday, and then like they even did a spot where Bayley like pretended to turn on her, and then she was like, "You know what? No, I'm actually going to go hug her because we're tagging on." Like it, none of it really made any sense to me. I don't know. This will be a bathroom. This is a bathroom break for me.
Maybe Bayley turns heel during the match, just kind of
Sure.
spice things up a little bit, and it just feels
What
like
show? What show is Bayley on Raw or SmackDown?
Yes,
Okay, I think it's Raw now, but
I think she is on Raw.
No, I anticipate that, Frank. I anticipate them having some kind of problem, and they will actually have a real feud for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which we have not had. When
yeah,
was this
that could be
one?
good.
How many months ago was this
It was
title?
Well, it was supposed to be on the Raw Netflix, but that it got booted because there was so much other stuff. So they literally started this belt by kicking it off the show it was supposed to be debuted on. So
And
it
they've
Adding
hasn't
treated it like that since.
it
adding
hasn't been a great
two
run.
adding two women's mid card titles after having none forever was a terrible idea.
It's something for them to do. Here, listen, could they have been on Wrestle? Could they both have had WrestleMania matches? Yes. Did they necessarily need them this year? I don't know because there really isn't. They haven't built a strong enough feud or contender for either one, unless they could have maybe done a story where Piper turned on Chelsea and done that. That could have been maybe interesting. But other than that, I think Jade and Naomi is much more deserving of a singles match on this WrestleMania than either of them defending their mid card belts.
And I think it just goes to a problem with booking or caring about these titles because there are absolutely women's wrestlers that we know are not getting shots at the women's championship that can benefit from feuds both with Chelsea and with Lyra, who are totally different competitors. They could have had two different things going on at all times with these mid card belts. They could have made them great. Why is Ivy Nile not in a serious feud with her? Right? Don't we all think that Ivy Nile has a little something in the tank that she could show? Why are we not showcasing that? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, not to go back to the Creed brothers here, but they did a whole storyline where Ivy Nile and the Creed brothers like had this whole thing where Chad Gable told them, "When I come back from Mexico, you all better have titles." Why did they not all win the titles? I mean, what story are they? Listen, maybe the story is yet to be told, but they all should have just won the belts and been this, golden team. I don't know. I guess
No,
we'll
that
have
felt
to.
like a layup. That felt like a
We'll have.
layup with
Well,
with the War Raiders holding the belts and with Lyra Valkyria holding the belts. That was the easiest to further the El Grande Americano storyline. That could have been great, and it makes no sense.
Maybe they need a new coach like El Grande Americano.
Anyway, we all have Liv and Raquel winning this match.
yes.
All right, moving on to AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Is Karrion Cross in this match too? Kind of.
No.
Yes.
So,
No.
so, so for me, and I think I told Frank this the other day, like I struggle with matches that have no stakes. And the irony of this match is Karrion Cross will tell you this match determines the fabric of time. This will decide if the earth continues to spin. And it's been kind of interesting, like his role he's played in this, but then he was like beating up AJ, where I felt like he was kind of like AJ's like pep guy. It's really odd.
Yeah, it goes from you, AJ, you have to win to AJ. I'm gonna hurt you the Monday before this match. So you're right. It is super interesting. But at the end of the day, this has match of the night potential because if we take away the weird build that it's been, AJ Styles is AJ Styles. Logan Paul has been nothing but impressive since his debut. I mean, they're gonna do some crazy stuff during this match. I would be sad if they didn't.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of become Logan Paul's shtick, right? Especially at like a WrestleMania, he's going to do something crazy more than likely. I agree, it probably could be a show stealer. Um, I think they need to decide what or who Karrion Cross is going to be and like what role officially. Like, is he an out of ring guy or is he a wrestler? Because like are we building to an eventual like carrying cross like like is he gonna like challenge for a championship, like is he gonna go after a mid-card title at some point or is he just going to be the devil on your shoulder, and like what are his ultimate motives? Like I like his character a lot, but I still have a lot of questions as to like what is the grander point of all of this, or is he just some weird dude who appears backstage and like straightens his hair to match, the guy that he's talking to? I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm all the way in on the build for this match, as I've stated for a bunch of other ones on this WrestleMania card, but it's also got the potential to be a really good match. So I think it suffers from a lot of things that some of the other matches are suffering from, but it still could end up delivering.
I'll take AJ Styles. Frank, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Logan Paul. I think that this could be one of those perfect opportunities to just put him over further. I'm assuming that there's a plan for him down the line, but I guess we'll see.
Heel.
I don't even remember what Logan Paul's last singles match was. Was it losing the U.S. title match?
Probably
That
losing to LA Knight, right?
sounds right. He was
Yeah.
in the Rumble. He was in the Chamber. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like he hasn't been here, been
Yeah, but
around. But
it's been a while since he's really had, he lost to Cody last year. He lost to Ellen. I'll pick Logan Paul. He probably needs a win more than AJ Styles at this point. But AJ Styles probably also needs a win because he doesn't win much either. So I don't know. I'm interested.
I feel like if AJ does lose this match, then he's probably creeping more toward retirement than we think he is. Because if he loses this, then like, what are we doing with AJ Styles? But that's fine. I'll take AJ. You guys got Logan Paul.
if AJ does win this match, this is your perfect first opponent for Jey Uso as world heavyweight champion.
No, no, we don't have to put AJ in that role. No.
AJ, Jey
No, John
Uso.
Cena. John Cena. AJ's a babyface.
That's also would be phenomenal. You're
That'd be
right.
great. I would love
No pun
that.
intended. I would love to see that
We
too.
don't
Yeah.
have to feed AJ Styles to
Yeah.
Jey Uso.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Now we have kind of a segment here that I think we all believe will become a match. Randy Orton versus a mystery opponent. Leading candidates here, probably Nick Aldis is the lead. I think Solo Sikoa has some kind of speculation. Aleister Black, Rusev. Heel, you go first. Who do you think Randy Orton's facing at WrestleMania?
I'm gonna say we still have to wait and see what happens on WrestleMania SmackDown. We don't know yet if it's going to be announced there or at the show. I'll say Solo Sikoa. I think it would be pretty brutal if Nick Aldis took a spot from an active superstar who did a lot in the last year, even though most of it was kind of poorly received or he kind of came across as a joke at times. Give Solo Sikoa the WrestleMania shot. I don't really know what the story there is, but
Do you care more, though, as a fan, to see Solo versus Nick Aldis?
you're saying would I care more if it was Nick Aldis against Randy Orton?
So I'm agreeing with you in the sense that the guys that show up every day to work deserve that spot more, but also I don't think Randy versus Solo does anything for me. Where Nick Aldis, that might be interesting.
No, I'll be entertained for sure if it's Nick Aldis. I mean, we've yet to see him in a WWE ring performing, but like, I don't know. Like, what story are you really telling? Like, Nick Aldis isn't really a heel. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't really do anything. Where like, is Randy the heel in that match? Like, I don't know. They'd have to really drag it out past this match to make me care about that.
Frank?
So I'm gonna go with Sami Zayn here, and I think we've seen all the reports saying Sami's not currently slated to be on the WrestleMania card. I think at this point we've learned to not believe anything that we've read, right? So I'm not saying it's definitely going to be him. I actually have no clue. I'd like to see Sami Zayn versus Randy Orton. It would keep that same, prestige that Kevin Owens would bring to the table. And I've stated multiple times to you guys, I think Randy needs to win this match. And I think he could beat Sammy and it would be fine. Neither guy would be hurt by that. So
And Frank, we've talked about how it doesn't make a lot of sense with Sammy, but I agree with you in the sense that they can make it make sense. It's Sami Zayn, it's WrestleMania, just put him in the match.
all it's got to be is, Kevin tried to take me out, and now I'm trying to take it, and then I took his WrestleMania spot because all it has to do is we have to lead into that point where being on the WrestleMania card is important, and I think that's all they have to do, and that'll be the next night on SmackDown, and Sammy could say that he didn't get the job done, but neither would Kevin or something like that, So
It's fun though. We have three different choices. I'm gonna go with Nick Aldis. I think Randy threw in that line about Mickey James. That I feel like that was a precluder to we're getting that match. Heel has Solo. Frank is going with Sami Zayn. But now, what we've all waited for here, the night two main event, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. A lot to unpack here. We have still not seen the WrestleMania SmackDown where we believe they'll probably have their last promo off of sorts. Heel, I'm going to start things off with you here because I know Frank kind of gets very excited every time John's on the screen, no matter what it is. But how do you feel right now about this build? How do you feel about this match?
I'm very lukewarm on the build to this match. I think of all the matches, for a while it was Jay Gunther. I think this is kind of taking the cake for me of just didn't fully hit the notes. And maybe this is my own fault. Maybe I had too high of expectations or I had these thoughts of what it was going to be after the big heel turn at Elimination Chamber. But man, I mean, we did a whole European tour just to include John Cena because he couldn't make a US WrestleMania build up work this year. Like, I don't know. Part of me feels like, and this is maybe a bigger issue. Part of me feels like if John Cena really wasn't this available for the road to WrestleMania, why did we do this year as the farewell tour? Maybe the answer is he was even more booked next year. I have no clue. But like, gosh, it feels like we needed more. And maybe this Friday we'll deliver on WrestleMania SmackDown. You can take bits and pieces of the promos, the three promos that they had, and take a lot of good and fun, intriguing parts of them. But man, for the most part, I just felt like they were lackluster. For the first two, they really didn't even talk directly to each other. They were both there in the ring, but they didn't rebut. They didn't respond to each other. And the third one was good, but like I just wanted more. I get that they could pull out all the stops and this could still be a phenomenal match. I'm still very intrigued. This is a huge main event. Like, I'm all in. Don't get me wrong. But as far as the build goes, I know we were spoiled last year, but man, last year was awesome with the final boss and Cody and Roman and the bloodline. And this just felt like it was an afterthought most weeks when compared to the triple threat of night one. It just didn't feel like it was featured too heavily.
All right, Frank, you have the floor. Let's hear it.
No, I think there's a lot of truth to what the heel is saying. I liked a lot of what John did. I feel like I could suspend my disbelief enough to think that he just went crazy and turned on the fans. I know that was one of Heel's problems that he didn't touch on there, but I just really liked what John did. If he was going to be a heel, he had to go full heel. He had to make fun of kids in the crowd, and he had to come out and he had to convince the crowd that he hated them and all of that. That being said, and I think it's the question that you're going to ask, why would we do this if John doesn't win this championship? And so I will have a different opinion of this feud. I think it's great. I will however, have a different opinion of this if John Cena doesn't walk out as WWE champion.
I've had that stance the whole way. I've said it multiple times. If John does not win, this was all for nothing. I stand firmly by that. The first here, the match itself. Are there rules? I know we kind of joke around. Oh, it's bloodline rules. Is The Rock going to come out there and decide? No referee. I'm the referee. Let's start with The Rock first. Is The Rock a lock to be there and a part of this match?
A lock? Absolutely not.
Yeah, he's not
Should
a
he
lock.
be? Do I? If I'm giving you an opinion on whether I think he is or I think he's not, I'm still going to say yes, he is. He went on that press conference and touted how well thought out all of the things that he was doing. Well, if you're going to do that and then you're not going to show up to WrestleMania, that's not very well thought out. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that him and Hunter talked that over and that Dwayne will be there. And maybe they're not announcing it on purpose, and maybe they're going to start the match without Dwayne being out there, but he's got to be there on Sunday. No,
I think he's there. I think him and Travis Scott are both there. I think that first of all, we're recording this before all of the festivities start. For all we know, they could even show up on SmackDown. They could show up at one of these press conference things they have. There's so many hours of programming they have this weekend to promote this that they've done a really bad job of like keeping surprises outside of the John Cena heel turn lately. So they announce like every return. They announce when everyone's going to show up on all the shows. Like there's a chance that they flat out confirm that he's going to be there. But yeah, I think he's got to. If he's not there, then it's even worse. It's doubly worse than if John Cena loses. Like he has to be there. I would say Travis Scott has to be there. Like they have to continue the story that they started at Elimination Chamber and have barely. I mean, you want to say those three promos were enough for you? I don't buy it. They have barely even scratched the surface of what I think we all thought was coming out of this. They need to be there to continue whatever the story it is that they're telling.
And the other big name that's been heavily speculated is Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is supposed to be in the area. I think he's confirmed for like a fan fest or something. So we were kind of, I don't want to say
he's being
robbed.
in, he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame again. Him and Bret Hart's
Yeah,
match. He'll be
his
at the
match.
ceremony.
For the
Yeah,
match,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Right.
So I don't want to say we were robbed last year with the Undertaker's appearance, but I think everyone felt like that should have been Stone Cold's spot. So maybe we kind of have some retribution, some comeuppance for that. Stone Cold comes out here. It'd be kind of weird if he came out there and he didn't help Cody win. If he came out there just to kind of thwart The Rock, maybe it does work. I guess for the winner, we'll just go ahead and talk about it now. I'm taking John. Like I said, I feel like he has to win this match. Heel, who do you got?
I'm taking John Cena. I mean, I don't see. I agree with both of you. I don't see how you do this and not have John Cena win the belt. I have issues with the build-up. I think Cody's been a phenomenal champion. I wish we could have seen more of him with John. He never got his big match against Randy. Again, he's got time to do all this. No one's going anywhere. John's the only one going anywhere. So because of that, I think he wins his record-breaking belt here as a heel, and that's kind of the reason why I picked Jay in the other match, because I think that we're going to get a heel in the other world champion. And I don't know. I don't know where it goes. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to love every step of the way here, but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be John.
Frank, you're taking John?
Yeah, I have to take John here. And I want to see him do everything that he says he's going to do, or I want to see him get real close and then get thwarted at the end. You know, he says he's going to ruin wrestling. One thing he said he's going to be the last real champion. And I think John, to hold John Cena to what he's saying, right? He's saying I'm not changing, right? So what does being a real champion mean to John Cena? That means defending that belt a few times. So just because he says he's going to be the last champion doesn't mean that he goes to WrestleMania and then retires the next night with the belt, right? He can show up. We have his end date. We have the day that John Cena says he's no longer wrestling. He'll defend it till then, and then he'll ride off into the sunset with the belt, or at least that's the story he'll be telling while he's champion. I hope they do that. I really do.
My question is, since obviously we all three of us just picked John Cena, how does Monday Night Raw on Netflix in Las Vegas after WrestleMania, how does that end? Because John Cena, we know he's booked for some more dates. It's not every week, but he'll presumably be around even more often going into the second half of this year. How does that episode end? And what is next after John Cena wins this belt?
I think next is the greatest hits. Next, he beats Randy Orton, he beats CM Punk. We go through the line, but Cody Rhodes wants his title back. There's going to be a whole lot of different storylines and threads there, but we're going to recap it all. We're going to come back there on the Raw after Mania. We're going to break down the crazy weekend that was, and we'll see what's next. Real quick here, Frank, match of the night for night two.
Match of the night. I'm going to give it to that Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way match. I think it's going to be great, and I think it's going to have the storytelling element at the end.
Heel.
I will go with the women's triple threat. I do think Cena and Cody is also going to be phenomenal.
I think it's the women's triple threat match as well. I'm a little worried that like John versus Cody won't live up great from an in-ring standpoint, but
I mean, there's going to be a bunch. It's not going to maybe be at the level of last year, but this could get messy. There's going to be a lot of, I don't know what the word you want to use.
We haven't really seen John go yet. He's kind of done like his little spots in the Rumbles, little spots in the
Right.
Chamber. So
Right.
it'll be very interesting to see the one-on-one match. That's probably going to be over a half hour to see how this does shape up, but I'm sure it will be great. Just to recap here, heel is going with Io Sky. Frank and I have Bianca, and then we have a clean sweep for Drew in the Sin City Street Fight, Intercontinental Championship match. We have heel taking Braun Breaker. Frank and I are going Dominic Mysterio. Clean sweep for the group for Liv and Raquel. I am taking AJ Styles with Frank and heel taking Logan Paul. Randy Orton. I don't think we said who's going to win the Randy Orton match. I think we all have Randy winning.
Randy, yeah.
Yeah,
If he faces Sammy, all this may be the only one, but I think it's still going to be Randy.
All right, we all have Randy winning. I have him facing Aldis. Heel has him facing Solo Sikoa. Frank has him taking on Sami Zayn. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Clean sweep for John Cena. Boys, it's been a lot of fun. We'll come back here on Monday Night Raw, break it all down. Hopefully, it's a great weekend.
Can't
Enjoy
wait.
WrestleMania, everybody.